So apparently I'm unethical. Apparently career coaches are unethical. So let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm not gonna lie, I was in my feelings with this. And then when I saw some of my faves in the comments, I was really in my feelings about this. So I need a couple days to decompress and honestly get out of my feelings, truly get out of my feelings to talk about this in a constructive, objective way so that we can really talk about it, because you know how I like to have a discussion, to not be in my feelings about it, because lately the world has felt so challenging that it's hard to feel like the career love coach authentically while still inspiring Black women, which is my entire mission and my entire thing. So we're going to talk about all of the things that I've been reflecting on and thinking about, and why so many of us could possibly feel that career coaching is unethical right now, given how challenging the job market is. And I'm going to try and put Mercedes, the career coach, away as much as I can, while really still providing that lens so we can actually have a conversation about it now that I'm not butthurt. Cheers. And I'm also going to talk about some of the things that I've been really compelled to do in this market. So I am going to talk about the career love mission, and I hope that after this video, this is something that you feel that you want to support and that you see it as a good ethical thing for Black women. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So Butthurt Mercedes was definitely like, well, do you find lawyers unethical? Do you find HR professionals unethical? Do you find therapists unethical? Do you find healthcare providers unethical? And you might say yes or no to some of those things based on your feelings about those people, right? There's a lot of language about why lawyers are unethical and perhaps why healthcare providers are unethical, because they are working in a system that has systemic challenges for marginalized groups, including Black women. And so I think the dialogue in why right now we're calling out the fact that career coaches are unethical, or there shouldn't be career coaches in this market teaching or saying anything, is because we've become synonymous with that type of systemic issue. The problem that I find with that, as trying to be objective and bring in that DEI lens, is that the problem is the system, right? These individuals, including myself, operate and work in this system, but does that automatically make them unethical? So that's the conversation that I want to have right now, because I think that in many ways, anyone who's a job seeker right now who has been laid off has now become a vulnerable population, right? And we, I think, dub these occupations potentially unethical because they deal with actual people's welfare, their ability to thrive and live a good life, right? And because the system is set up in such a way that everyone doesn't have access to those resources for bare minimum welfare, then and don't get this confused with welfare, I mean like the welfare of a people, that we would maybe agree that is the responsibility of the collective or governments that are running, that support the people who don't have the resources themselves, right? That's what I'm talking about when I say welfare. Now, I am not, okay, I'm a business student, I'm a career coach, I'm a DEI professional, but I'm not breaking down the true definition of welfare. That being said, that's how I view this, right? So if you have been accused of a crime, if you are unhealthy, if you have mental health challenges, then there should be an opportunity for you to get the resources that you need through systems, right? Maybe there are nonprofits, maybe there are government systems, maybe there are social services and human services that you have access to. Now, because the job market is so challenging, that means there are more of us in this climate that do not have access to the bare minimum needs, that the bare minimum resources that we need to actually secure and conduct a job search or secure a job, right? We typically see those for people who are quote unquote unemployable, and that is based in bias, right? That is based in our own bias of how we see people who are not employed. Now, you may have unpacked that bias, but we all have lots of unbiased saying what does the unemployed look like, right? And we could take that type of bias and apply it to so many other things, but that is the truth. And right now in this market with layoffs and challenges, the most talented people have been unemployed for a year, several years, right? Or continually laid off, and as a result are vulnerable, as a result need welfare, as a result need the bare minimum to survive. And the reality is that most of us are very close to being that vulnerable person unless you are independently wealthy. And we'll talk about the career love mission and my goals and what I want for Black women And that is career liberation, and we'll talk about that. But that is the challenges of what we are dealing with right now, which is why I'm having so many issues with my values of thriving and Black women bliss and success and growth and change and following your dreams, while also looking at equity and the inaccessibility of career services right now in this market, because it's so challenging. It is so challenging that you could be doing everything right and still have challenges, which creates this issue with manipulative marketing that I'll talk about later, that's abundant in the career coaching, other spaces as well, right? It doesn't just mean manipulative marketing is not just in coaching spaces. It's in a ton of spaces, but because people are vulnerable, because the market is vulnerable, then that means you have so many more opportunities for unethical behavior to actually pervade into the way an industry or a market operates, right? So let's think about it this way. Prior to 2025 and all of the challenges in the job market, many services like career coaching could be seen as a luxury. Yes, there are individuals who do not have access to career resources, but there were typically a lot of resources and information out there that it was accessible. Not all of it's accessible. For instance, Black women, there is not an abundant amount of information about the unique challenges that we face in the job market. But in general, things like writing a resume or interviewing are readily, typically accessible online. Now, are there unspoken rules and terms and networking that make the workplace or make the job seeking process inequitable and therefore inaccessible for marginalized groups? Absolutely. I'm not saying that that's the case, but if you wanted to say you were somebody who was wanting to do a career pivot, or you didn't want to write your resume yourself, or you didn't want to do all of that time and investigation to learn how to do it yourself, it was a luxury to opt into a career coach. That is not the case right now. People are struggling with layoffs and underemployment and unemployment, and the market's not getting any better. We're losing jobs. And so as a result, career coaching as an access or a service now seems like a bare minimum need for operating, right? Because a job is a bare minimum need. Now, the issue that I find here is that typically, right, the same way that you might be able to still get healthcare services or lawyer services or therapy services via these institutions is the same way that you would say, well, there are all of these resources for the welfare of the people that are available. For example, when I used to do HR, I actually would go work with our career source in Florida. Now, I don't know if there's other career sources or other job opportunities. I know people that I have connected with talk about Job Corps and other things like that. But my unique experience as an HR professional is actually working with Career Source. Career Source was awesome because they provided opportunities to those who were not traditionally qualified employees, meaning that maybe they didn't have a degree, or maybe they had a 2-year degree, or maybe they had the degree in education and they were trying to break into the field, but they could not. And so Career Source would do things like programs that would provide opportunities for people to get on the job experience that was actually paid for through federal funds or grants or donate, whatever it was, that the employer didn't have to do that. And so there was less of a risk. It was really just the time. And I used to love those programs because we used to get the greatest interns and we didn't have to pay for it. And it was great. And I love that. There was also, they would have career fairs and they would ask employers to come and meet with talent and give them feedback and look at resume reviews. And they would actually provide those mock interviews. And that was all provided for free at our local career source, right? So when we now have a large amount of people and a reduction of federal funds that are resourcing those types of things, it means that we have a huge vulnerable population who are underemployed, which, like I said, actually, I don't know if I said it, could be you and me right now, should something go awry, because we don't have a guaranteed paycheck. We don't have a guarantee for food. And so as a result, we could all become that very vulnerable, underemployed, unemployed population very quickly. And so because we don't have those resources, then the problem does not become the fact that the system hasn't provided the resource. The system capitalism wants to displace Black women. Capitalism wants to displace individuals who can't afford to not work, right? In our market, right? For a variety of reasons, there are people who have had to lay off, and some of those are due to corporate mismanagement and corporate greed. I'm not going to say that, but there are a lot of small businesses that hired enough people that are also going under because of tariffs. Like I just saw the one the other day, which I think is Curl Mix. I got to go order some stuff from Curl Mix. That being said, there are all of these dynamics that's resulting in this, and we are blaming career coaches and saying career coaches are inequitable, but it's the system that we have. Same thing with healthcare, right, and therapists. Same thing with access to health insurance and the healthcare system. And I am not saying that there are not issues that are inequitable and that there are unethical practices that happen in those spaces. What I'm saying is that this is a symptom of the larger issue in that we all operate under capitalism. Okay? And at the end of the day, career coaches are still providing a service to those who need it, and I hope that can afford it, and that there are opportunities being provided to those who cannot afford it, which is point 2 of this deep dive kind of conversation about the ethics of career coaching and coaching in general, right? And it ties into this mission. Now, this went viral for some reason. You don't know me. This is your first encounter with me, Mercedes Swan. I've been a career coach for multiple years. I primarily coach, like 95% of my clients are Black women who are pivoting or advancing their careers. And a newer portion of my business is actually business coaching, so Black women who want to exit the workplace, okay? So I've been coaching Black women for years in this process of truly understanding the unique challenges that Black women face. What is the unique challenge that Black women face today? We are being laid off and pushed out of the workforce in stunning numbers. I decided that I wasn't going to talk about that number anymore because I just felt like it was really just not, Black women were not having hope, right? Like, if we know that the job market is so bad and we do not go and apply to jobs at all, talking about the number is not actually helping us. I do understand that there's importance and awareness, but over communicating a number for clicks, likes, and views is very much different than creating awareness. And I think we quickly move from we're all wanting to talk about this because this is what we're talking about and it's likes and views versus really understanding the impact of what that has on the psyche of a Black woman who's looking for a job right now. And I say that because I'm meeting with them. I'm talking to them in the community for free, by the way, which we're going to talk about it, in the community or otherwise as one-on-one clients, that thought that the job market is so hard right now that I might as well not try. I might as well just bury my way into whatever problem that I have. Maybe that's debt because you can't find a job. Maybe that is a job that is literally making you feel like you are suffering. All of those things are counterproductive to us, right? That being said, I saw that there were so many challenges in the job market right now that I was really grappling with my own values and my own standards of who I am as a coach. And I'll talk more about that as we move on. But to answer in this moment, these challenges that we are having, my heart was breaking for Black women. What do Black women in my space, in my market? And by the way, I'm talking to you from this logical standpoint because I think that's a piece of trying to understand the overall system and the context of what's going on. But at the end of the day, I do what I do because I love Black women and I want Black women to win and I want Black women to rest. And I want Black women to love their lives and what they do, and that's their career and their business and all of the above. So that is a career love mission, and it's undergirded by this idea of what career liberation could look like, and I'll talk about that in a minute. That being said, what does it look like to build impact and actually support your market when there are so many challenges in the world right now? That means that you may be marketing unethically that might not have been unethical several months ago because of the market and because of the shifts, right? So that being said, I could not feel like I was truly serving my market without supporting them, right? So what does ethical career coaching look like to me right now? It means community building. It means that I have created a free space for Black women. It is called, so I've had a career love community for a while. It was not my bread and butter, so to speak, of my business. It was a space that some people joined for coaching. They were my coaching clients, so they got access to that as an additional resource. But it's mostly a place that people kind of came when they were in my orbit, and they paid a low fee to become a member, and they joined and they got whatever event that I was doing that month or training videos in the portal. But mostly it was this hangout space for my clients to just share updates and things like that. As I moved into full-time entrepreneurship in January, I decided to really make that a more robust service, and I set out to really reform or change or update, whatever, just refresh everything that was the Career Love community with this idea of freedom in mind, right? You want freedom, you want financial freedom, you want to create your ideal life, a space for you. What does that mean for your career and what does that mean for your business? And ultimately doing that in a way that enables you to live out your Black woman bliss, which is why I do this. That being said, Black woman bliss is hardly possible for us unless there's some form of career liberation that occurs, which again I will talk about in a moment. That being said, I created this entire community with that in mind, to give Black women the resources and knowledge and skills in a safe, community-driven space that would allow them to achieve those dreams in sisterhood, right? So job market continues being a challenge, as we've seen the rising updates, which I don't love talking about. But that being said, this is the context of what it is. And so as a result, I decided to launch a free version of the Career Love community. So I have a paid version and a free version. And I believe that beyond anything, right? I'm not the first Black woman to say that. I'm not trying to like take all of the activists and the community builders who are out there. I'm just saying that I'm wanting to take the space that I feel like I was called to take to provide that space is what I'm trying to say. I don't think that the community space is mine, but I do think that I have the skills, resources, and opportunity to provide that community building space. And so as a result, I did. And as a result, it's my mission to create this space, make sure that it's thriving, make sure that as many Black women who want this space have it, and to use that space as a space to provide opportunity, access, and equity for the Black women who cannot afford career services, or for the Black women who do not have services in their area to do that, right? So I'm planning on editing this video like as soon as I finish recording it and getting posted. But if you're watching this and you like, this is you are a Black woman who need that support. I am having a job search chat early December. I think it's December 3rd, whatever. Go to my website, sign up for the Career Love Community 10. We're doing peer resume reviews. Our lovely facilitator, BB, who has been like rocking with this community and helping to build this, because it is a community. It's not something that I'm leading. It's a space for us to come together, right? Is helping with mock interviews and helping with getting the resume reviews together. And we have accountability groups to help you stay motivated and moving forward. These are all free things that I'm choosing to do because I know that we have so many challenges right now. Which is why, by the way, being called unethical by proxy and seeing some of my faves in that comment section being like, yeah, this is unethical, really hurt my feelings, because I was like, there are unethical ways to do career coaching, but I'm committed to this work. And even if that means that Black women, many Black women who formerly in my market could afford these types of services can no longer, that doesn't necessarily mean that I stopped caring about those Black women, and as a result created this community. Do you feel me? And so if you're here, like, and this is resonating with you, and like you need this type of resources and support, I'm inviting you to the community. There will be links below. But what I'm saying is that we do really need to come to, we know that Black women are great community builders, but I'm saying that we need to come together to create this space together. And I'm willing to be the one to help to support the infrastructure of that space. And that's where I feel like the equity and the access and the opportunity, and really trying my very hardest to do this in a way that feels good and authentic and aligns with my values as a coach, come from. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the issues with the coaching industry now that we've gotten that all out of the way, now that we've talked about the context, now that we've talked about the Career Love mission and how there's potentially a way to do this in an ethical way that really supports those who are vulnerable, which at any point could be one of us. I felt like the Career Love brand, all of me, everything that I've done has always been identified. I've always identified as a coach in this space, right? I realized that my heart was bigger for the work that I do. And so as a result, I've begun calling this the Career Love mission. I feel like it is my life's work. I don't feel like enough of us give ourselves permission to dream and to love what we do and actually do the scary things and pursue the job or the business, because we have so many barriers. And I always have an issue talking about this because we do have so many barriers, and it is extremely tone deaf to be like, yeah, that's fine, just keep going, because it's hard. I have hard days too. I just took my anxiety pill last night, which is probably the only reason y'all are getting this video unfiltered, raw, and uncut. Okay, this will be a little cut, just a little bit. That being said, we all have rough days, but I'm saying that I think that our dreams are worth it, and I think that the world deserves our purpose and our passion lived out, no matter what that looks like. If I did not live out my purpose and my passion, and honestly the conviction that I have to serve Black women at the highest level right now, I would not be making this video. I would not be doing any of this. But I feel that so deeply. And I think that the world needs more of us to do that deeply, to do that work, because Black women, we are all that we have right now, because those systems that I talked about are not going to do it. So as a result, we do need to build together, and the more community spaces that we have, the better. That being said, what is the career love mission? I talked about a lot of the career love mission already. The career love mission is this, like I said, this idea that we can love what we do. And I think that many of us have denied ourselves that right. And I think that so many of us has thought that that's a naive thought, that it's not possible. But I will tell you today that no matter what issues that I had in the workplace, no matter how scared I was, I have always loved the work that I've done. And I've always strived to be in a space where I can do my best work. And that conviction has propelled me to create the coaching practice that I have today and the community that I have today. But I realize that so many of us do not ever go for it, or we don't believe it's possible because of all of the systems of oppression that we are against, right? Well, I can't go get the job that I really want because I won't be qualified, or I'll be doubted. I'll deal with discrimination, bias. People won't see me for my skills and my abilities. And over the years, that wears us down where we don't even see ourselves that way anymore. We don't think we're an eloquent speaker. We don't think we can lead meetings or people or things and make an impact. We believe that we're just going to have to be small to survive for the rest of our careers. And I don't want that for any Black woman. And so as a result, what does that mean? That means that in some way, shape, or form, we are going to have to find career liberation. And as a result, so now, of course, I have the Career Love community, which is a platform for Black women to come together. But I am in the process right now of ideating and thinking through what career liberation means at a grander scale. What does that mean if we actually have measures and assessments and evaluations, not just available for job seekers, but also for employers, and a way to really evaluate and understand what that is so that we can move to this together, right? Because these aren't my ideas. Anyway, there's lots of goals for me to go do research and all of those things. One step at a time, Mercedes, chill out. For our overachieving girlies, you know what I'm talking about. One thing at a time, Mercedes. But just really using empirical information, assessments, data, research, articles, thought leaders who are talking about this in their space to really understand what does career liberation look like. For me, that means that I can take it or leave a job if I want to. Fortunately for me, that meant that I could take or leave a job because I had a growing business, right? I could, in January, say I'm done, right? And can continue to say I'm done for the foreseeable future, okay? But that means that I worked all of that time and all of that space to build this coaching business to even have that as a viable option, which is not a guarantee. So then does career liberation look like all of us really being able to take it or leave it, which means that's a universal paycheck. That means universal healthcare. That means employers that are going to pay you no matter what, which in the world that we live in, that's not a thing that we have, right? But maybe we can start working towards that. Maybe we can start evaluating what it would really feel like to feel liberated at work each day. And that's a very far, long off, really hard vision to tackle. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a platform. Yes, you heard it here first. That is the Career Love movement. And it's small right now, but it's growing. But I have a vision. So that being said, like, if this is resonating again, like, and you want to support this vision, like you want to join the community, again, do that below. If you want to just support this, I love for y'all who hang out in my comments and hype me up. Okay, I'm a words of affirmation girly, which is why the non-words of affirmation hurt my feelings. At the end of the day, I want all of us to do our best, amazing work and love what we do and get to do that each day. So in short, that's the Career Love mission. So let's talk about coaching. So for a very long time, I've had a lot of things to say about the career coaching industry and coaching in general. And I think that's why it's easy to feel like it's unethical as a whole right now, right? The issue with career coaching and as a result, the rest of the coaching industry in whatever way, shape, or form is actually incentivized to do manipulative marketing, right? And I think that people who I admire in business, and who I've worked with don't choose to engage in that, but it does require a level of authenticity and integrity and values in the way that you show up online. And in many ways, choosing not to act with integrity is incentivized. People are more likely to sign up, show up, be curious about a thing. That's why clickbait still works, even though there's a lot of us who are irritated by it. And so as a result, I think that's why some of these issues continue to thrive, right? So when you think about an unethical coach, what comes up for you? For me, it's things like promising an outcome. It's things like pain point marketing. I don't know if you've heard that from the non-marketing people, but it's when you basically tell everyone all of the things that they're doing wrong and the challenges that they have, and you basically leverage that to encourage them to work with you, to pay you, to purchase a service or whatever, right? And when you have a vulnerable market like we do right now, people are a lot more desperate to get those resources and services and potentially make decisions that will not serve them in the long run, whether that's their financial outcome or their ability to actually secure a job. Because let me put it this way, if somebody's leveraging manipulative marketing, are they also at the same time leveraging, like still providing a great service to you? I don't know. Maybe they are manipulative in their marketing, but also as a result, they just get more clients and they do a great job. Hey, great. I hope that's the person that you work with. And yes, there are a bunch of coaches that are not qualified to do what they do because they haven't had the lived experience or the knowledge of doing that, right? My background experience comes from human resources. I was coaching a ton of people in the workplace about workplace performance and their personal brand and resumes and interviewing well before I ever became a coach that did this full time for a business, right? So these are skills that are tangible and that I learned at work. Somebody could have a comparable HR experience and diversity, equity, inclusion experience as I do and still be a terrible coach. So then what becomes the criteria of selecting a coach? If you don't know what that criteria is, then you may be the person that's susceptible to manipulative marketing. That being said, what becomes the criteria of a coach? Is it a coaching certification? Because I've seen honestly certified resume writers, and I've seen certified coaches who have really provided terrible taste for my past clients that I had success with, or just in general. I don't even mean resume, they were just not a good person to work with. It could have been an interpersonal thing, right? But just because you got a coaching certification doesn't make you not an asshole. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. So our issue here is then, how are we vetting our coaches? How are we actively ensuring that the services that we engage and purchase are actually the right services for us? I've worked with clients that I was like, hey, this might not, I might not be the right coach for you. Maybe this is not the right thing. I've talked to people on a discovery call where I was like, hey, I'm not the right coach for you, or we just have a different ideology about things. And that is okay. That also doesn't mean that they're unethical. It just means that they're not a match for you. What I do find challenging in this market, and that is for me anyway, an idea of evaluating ethics, is to what extent are you capitalizing on someone's vulnerability as you're sharing or telling or talking about a service, right? And I feel that for the most part, how that really happens in career coaching is download this thing, do this thing, work with me, book this, and you are going to get a job in 30 days, right? That is an impossible thing to say in this market. As a person who confidently could say prior to this market that if you work with me, 90%, 95% of my, what's at the point? Where's my numbers? I have a dashboard. 95% of my clients would, before a 90-day period was up, they would have a job offer in hand. There is no way in good conscience that I could say that today at all, because the job market is so challenging. Guess what? Just because the job market is so challenging doesn't mean that everyone's resume is suddenly perfect, that everyone's a great interviewer. It just means that the people who are doing better, who are better at it, are not seeing the outcome that they would expect because the job market is so tight and so challenging. That doesn't mean that there's no expertise in career coaching. That doesn't mean the value of working with a career coach if you want to work on your branding or your interviewing or your resume, or even if that's professional development planning or building a case for change where you're currently working. That skill set, that knowledge and how that can support you doesn't immediately go away because the job market is challenging. It just means that the likelihood of success, unfortunately, is not. That takes us to values, right? Because then if you know that you can't promise something, but that's what people want to hear because we are used to being manipulated in marketing, then how do you make a sale in this climate or this market when there are other people promising this? That is very challenging. That's something that I've just had to deal with, and that is just part of doing business in what I feel like is an ethical way. That being said, I believe in telling people the real of it, right? So if you get a call with me and you're like, Mercedes, I want to move into this job in 90 days. I want to do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. and you want to make sure that this all happens in 30 days, I'm going to say, hey, I love that. That's an amazing dream. Because, by the way, one of the things that make, which I think, you may disagree, let me know in the comments, y'all can disagree if you want, that makes a great coach is not putting your limitations or your limiting beliefs or what you think is possible on the person that you're coaching, because ultimately they're in charge of their life, and everybody can be extremely blessed, very lucky, and actually have that happen in this job market. Okay, I believe that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you that that is absolutely what's going to happen within beyond a shadow of a doubt, because at the end of the day, you're still responsible for you, even if you are my client. And I'm responsible for showing up and being the best coach that I can for you. But this is a two-way street, right? Coaching isn't doing most of the time, right? That's a done for you service. Coaching is helping you think through and shift and change and do something to the best of your ability based on somebody else's knowledge and expertise, right? And the support that they provide to you. So, that being said, when you go into that relationship and you say something like, well, I know you're going to be able to do this at this date, of course that helps to motivate somebody. But what if it doesn't happen, right? So yes, we have all of those conversations, me and my clients, about what the job market really looks like, my community members too, right? What the job market really looks like. Is your resume good? How are you interviewing? How are you doing this? Let's talk through what this looks like to you. Looks like you're doing everything right so far. I don't think that you need career coaching services. The market is just challenging. Or, oh, your resume is too broad. You can't package your skills in an interview. Okay, this can still help you. By the way, if you're doing everything right, you still may have a job search that's 6 months, a year, 2 years, because the job market is what it is. And I think that's a very transparent way of saying, here's all of the things that I can do to support you and work with you and help you as a coach, but I can't promise you this outcome. And by the way, here's the truth of the matter, right? Even if you decide to work with me, even if you decide to pay me my coaching fee or whatever, or work with me or join the community, these are the true outcomes of what Black women are experiencing right now. That's what it is. That's what you can do. And I think that's the space that we have to be in this market. Again, it doesn't mean that the strategies and the resources and the tools and the knowledge are ineffective in that way, right? They're still effective tools, but the job market is more competitive. So you have to think about those things differently. That being said, I plan on making a 2026 job market update / strategies you can try in this insane job market. I'm sorry, I stopped trying to stop saying insane, but it is just wild. And I'll be sharing that soon. That being said, if you are watching this and you've been thinking about investing in a career coach, make sure that you are in a financially stable place. Make sure that if you were to be laid off tomorrow, which I don't wish on anybody, that this would still be an investment that you would be okay with. Because the reality is sometimes, and it's not great, but sometimes I've had clients who have started coaching and they've been in a perfectly stable job that they've had for years, and then something happens and they can't complete coaching or they can't complete their program, right? That is not a situation that you want to be in this market. And don't start working with the coach because out of desperation. I want you to take time to breathe and to think about what it is that you need and the challenges and the questions that you have in your job search. And if you have the financial means to work with a coach, make sure you have those things at the forefront of what you are doing and how you are looking for a coach so that you make the best decision for yourself. And if you are in a place where you cannot afford a coach, and that would put you in a bad situation, that would put you in this vulnerable market, I encourage you to check out the free resources. Maybe there is a career source or there's a job search service that's free in your area. Maybe if you are a Black woman who would love that support and you want to do it in the community, go ahead and join the Career Love community. Perhaps there are resources around you, people in your network, friends, family, whoever, that can provide you with that level of support for your particular questions so that you can move forward with clarity, right? Because a lot of times we don't take action in our job search because we are overwhelmed and frustrated because we don't know the right questions that we should be asking. So start there and figure out, what do I feel like I actually need to know to move forward in my job search, right? And find that information out there. That being said, my commitment to equity in this space and to access is to continue to create videos. During this process of really reevaluating who I am, how I'm showing up online, what resources I am providing for Black women, including creating the free community, meant that I took a break from a lot of content creation to be able to take up this space and create this community and this opportunity for Black women. But that being said, I'm going to be back to my regular scheduled content with helping Black women with their career and business. business. And so if there are things that you want to know about the job market or the challenges or whatever, like, this can be a space for you to get those questions answered. I try to respond to every single question that I get, whether that's doing a more direct response video on like places like TikTok, or actually just trying my very hardest to respond in the comments. And of course, if you decide to join the community, I definitely get all of those. So I get to respond in there too. My ears are ringing, so hopefully that meant I did a good job. If all of this, you have found it helpful and you believe in the Career Love mission, you are a Black woman who wants to live a life of greater alignment, whether that is career, business, or otherwise, or just building that lifestyle, and there are things that you feel like you can benefit from joining in the Career Love community, I would invite you to join. So here's the thing. Like I said, there is a free community with lots of resources. Again, we are doing peer reviews, mock interviews, there are networking opportunities, there are chats coming up. We have a book club that is all about being a Black woman in America. So based on the book, Playing the Game While Black Women in Corporate America by Nicole S. Palmer. We have Alicia, who is doing our November wellness chat to get us ready and supported before we go into the holidays, because we know that's a really hard time for some people. So it creates a space for mental health and wellness as we move forward. And like I said, in December, I'll be doing a job search chat to really talk about this season and the challenges that we are having. So bring your questions, come ready to chat about the challenges that you are having so that you can move forward. And if you are a Black woman who is like, yeah, I got it, I want to invest in myself and join the Career Love community as a full member, you get that opportunity too. And then you get access to all of the training videos and everything else. Yeah. Okay. So there's more information about that below. And like I said, I really want to have more honest, authentic questions, even when they are things that I feel like are sensitive or soft for me. I had a community chat last month about the challenges that I had with building community on LinkedIn, and I think that I just need to be more comfortable with that. So I decided that this was a really good conversation to have. So I hope that you appreciated it. And like I said, I'm open to your comments or your feedback below. But either way, I hope that you join me for the Career Love movement and support the mission. And if there's another Black woman who could use this information and feel supported by it, I hope that you share this with her. So I'll see you for the next episode. Bye. Of course you know about the Career Love podcast, but do you know about the Career Love community? The Career Love community is a safe, inclusive, and warm environment that I created for Black women who are working on their big career, life, and business goals. The community not only offers a safe space for you to achieve those goals, but it also offers training, guides, resources, and even support like group coaching to help you accomplish those things faster. And because the community is by Black women for Black women, you'll know that your experiences and how you navigate the world as a Black woman is seen, heard, and deeply felt by the other beautiful Black women in this beautiful community. It's my goal to help Black women enter their Black woman bliss era by creating careers and businesses they really love with clarity and confidence. So if this sounds like you, go ahead and learn more about the community in the show notes. You can watch a webinar or you can directly join. And of course, let me know if you have any questions. You're always welcome to reach out.